asked me to direct. I'd never done it before. I'd been in countless plays, and I said, okay, and so I did. And then I did another one, and now after all these years, I direct and act about equally, I guess.
Great.
And I didn't go to formal training for directing, just for acting.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first show that you directed?
It was Agatha Christie's 10 Little Indians,
Oh.
which is now called Then There Were None. But I think was its original title. I'm only saying this because I'm doing it again this summer. I'm not directing it, but we're doing it. It's what I think it's her best whodunit. And so that was the first thing I did, and then after that I did Arthur Miller's The Crucible,
Mm.
and it was interesting because it was done up in Massachusetts, and a man came to see it who was a direct descendant of John Proctor, and he'd never seen the play.
Hmm.
So that was kind of thrilling.
We have a question. I'm going to unmute Corey, and I'm going to let her ask the question. Go ahead, Corey. Ask your question.
Hi, what made you decide to go into educational theater?
Well, I did that after I had been in New York acting quite a while. I actually went and I worked at a theater in Detroit called it was a theater company in Detroit. And while I was there, I started teaching at the University of Detroit. They had a professional acting program. So I really just sort of did it as I was acting. And then I went to the University of Washington as a guest artist. And while I was there, I was told about the North Carolina School of the Arts. And someone said, they have an opening there, you should look into it. The idea of living in North Carolina had never occurred to me. But I met the man in charge of that. I met him in Chicago, and he asked me to come down there. And it was such an extraordinary place that I decided with my wife and our little young son to make the move to North Carolina, where I started working in that extraordinary conservatory of training. I also worked at the North Carolina Shakespeare Festival. I've never really stopped working as a member of the acting profession. And so I did that, and from there went on to, we were asked to to work to run a graduate actor training program at the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee, and I worked in the theaters in Milwaukee, of which there are many. And then we were asked to come from there to start the acting program or the theater program at Hartt. So I did that. And then since I've been here, I've also worked with the Hartford Stage and the Goodspeed musicals. And doing all that, I've taken over that theater on Cape Cod, and I do that as well. So it's always been a combination of educational theater and acting and directing.
Right. Okay. Go ahead, Nat.
All right, so we know you've been hearing auditions for the Hartt School and for the Monomoy Theater. What qualities set apart those that earn the spot in the Hartt School?
Yeah, we do that a lot. Well, when you're looking, there are two different things, of course. When you're looking for someone to go into a training program, that's exactly what it is. It's to see if if they seem to be ready for the training program that you offer. And the first thing I look for, and this is going to sound, I don't mean this to sound flippant or anything, but the first thing I look for is in an audition is, can they act? And you can tell, can this person make a connection to the text? Can they take the text and turn it into action? I don't mean necessarily in a definitive way, but do they look as though they have the capability of developing that craft, which is basically, I think, what acting is all about, making a connection to that. So you look at that, then you also look at how there are other crafts, voice and speech. If it's music, theater, singing, there's a dance audition involved as well. And do you think that they can succeed with the training that you have to offer? It's not just, are they really great? It's, do you think they can benefit from what you have to offer? It's a two-way street.
Right, right.
We offer them something, they offer us something, and we hope that it will come together. And in the long run, they'll leave the Hartt School ready to commence what we hope will be at least a 60-year career, or potentially a 60-year career as an actor. Now, if I'm
Sophie,
auditioning for the summer, then I've got 8 specific plays that I'm looking at, and I have to see how I take 8 men and 4 women. How will they fit into that specific season?
right.
Which roles can they play? It's obviously quite different.
Sophie has a question for you. Sophie?
Yes. What qualities do you think are essential in successful college theater department, and how do you go about making sure that Hart maintains these same qualities?
Well, that's a very good question. And the first thing I have to say is that when you say theater department, there are different types of theater programs in universities. A theater department, to me, is a program where they offer an education in most aspects of theater: directing, acting, uh, technical theater, design, all of that, so that you learn a great deal about it. The Hartt School is not a theater department. It's a actor training program. It's a conservatory-based actor training program. That's all we do. So our task is, as I said earlier, to train students to begin a career as an actor. In a theater department, you're preparing students to continue their studies in any number of areas of the theater.
Okay. Shelby has a question for you. Let me unmute Shelby. Go ahead. Shelby?
If someone doesn't want to major in theater, are there any other opportunities to be in musicals?
Are you talking about the Hartt School?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, all of our plays that we do, all our productions, we do 16 in a year, and they are chosen specifically for the classes that we have because our plays are all co-curricular. In a sense, what they are is the laboratory part of the training. You have the classroom work, and then there's a lab, and that's the productions. So we don't do a season of plays that people audition and try to get in. And it's obviously then it's certainly not open to students that are not in the training. We do the plays specifically for the students, and every student after their first year is in a production each term. And that's a lot different than the theater department sort of approach that we talked about before.
Okay. Great.
So have you seen any difference over the years in the types of students that attend the Hartt School?
Over the years, have I? Well, we started, I guess, 16 years ago, and we were, we were brand new. But it's interesting. In that first year, we had an extraordinary class of people that were very drawn to the fact that it was an inaugural year. And from that class, we've had some of our most successful people. I mean, we've got one actress who's highly successful. She was nominated for a Tony Award. She's been on lots of TV shows and movies. We have another one who's gone into directing and is now the associate artistic director of the Hartford Stage Company. Plus, he's done things elsewhere. We've got one that's in the television business out in California from the first year, and they came from all over the country. I think the main thing is we see a lot more students than we did when we first started. Because we auditioned in Hartt, of course, about 5 or 6 different days starting in December through February. Then we also auditioned 2 days in New York, 3 days in Chicago, and 2 days in Los Angeles. So we see hundreds of kids from all over the country,
right?
And we seem to see more and more each year. But I can't say that. I mean, there are some that are ready to do this, that are meant to do this. There are some that want to, and maybe they really aren't meant to do this. I don't think individually, and I've been doing it for 40 years, and I can't see that any 17 or 18-year-old, that there's a great difference. If you have a passion, if you have a talent for it, and then you've been allowed to develop a passion for it, and then you're encouraged by your family to pursue it, I think it's probably been the same for close to 3,000 years.
Right. So Shilly has a question for you, a couple, but yeah, ask your favorite question, so Shilly.
Sure.
So Shilly, is it Kling? Is it Sashili or Sashili? Oh, she's unmuted. I'll ask her a question for you. She said, oh, she has no mic. Okay, I'm going to ask her question. She said, what's the biggest difference in directing theater and television and movies? Like, what's the difference between directing theater and TV movies?
Well, I've never directed a movie or a
Mm.
television show, so I can't really say. However, when you're directing for the stage, it's you're in charge of taking a body of work and a group of actors and starting from the beginning and going to the end nonstop. There's a beginning, middle, and end.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in television, of course, it's well, it depends on whether it's a sitcom or a longer one. Then it's like a film.
Mm-hmm.
And I really can't speak to that. I do know that they say that the uh, the theater is the actors medium, the film is the directors, and television is the writers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably true. You have a lot of rehearsal in the theater
Mm-hmm.
because you're going nonstop. In television and film, you don't have much rehearsal at all.
Yeah,
You
right.
go in and do it,
Mm-hmm.
and so the director's looking at other things.
Okay.
There's a lot more
So,
money in film and
Mm.
television.
Right. Nate?
so, so what exactly does the new season for the Monomi Theater Company look like, and what exciting things can the audience see this summer?
Well, it's the Monterey Theater is the closest thing to a traditional stock that I think it still exists because we do a variety of different types of plays because we have an audience that appreciates it. We do 8 plays basically in 11 weeks. It's like the old one a week, except that we
Mm-hmm.
take 2 weeks to start the first one and then we run it for 2 weeks. So we're starting with Rodgers and Hammerstein's The King and I. And then we're doing that Agatha Christie mystery that I told you about. Um, it used to be A 10 Little Indians, now it's called And Then There Were None, which was the original book's title,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's great fun, but it's also great training, I think, for actors to have to work on something like that style, that somewhat melodramatic style. Uh, so that's why we're doing that. Then we're doing The Odd Couple by Neil Simon, which I think is one of the best American plays ever written. And then we're doing Noel Coward's Hay Fever to give the students the experience of working in that type of language. And then we're doing a beautiful, somewhat smaller musical called She Loves Me, which is really just delightful.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're doing Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller,
Awesome.
uh,
Kate.
probably the greatest American play ever written, one of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then Arsenic and Old Lace, which is a brilliant comedy. And when it's done on the level for which it was written, it's just stunning. And then at the end, for fun, we're doing Shakespeare in Hollywood.
Ah.
We usually always do a Shakespeare. This year we're not. We're doing that instead, which is really about A Midsummer Night's Dream and the filming of it.
Nice.
So those are the 8 plays.
Good. Casey has a question for you.
Hi, Alan. What would you say is most valuable for a current Hartt student? Doing a smaller ensemble part at a well-known summer stock theater, or a larger leading role in a less well-known summer stock theater?
Well, I mean, I don't know what lesser known or well known theater means.
I mean, like for instance, a theater at the Straw Hat auditions, and a theater that's a local theater near a house.
Yeah, I think it depends on the company, obviously, what kind of company it is. I think doing anything, as long as it's really legitimate, and if it's striving for the best quality of work, I think the more you can do in the summer, the better off you are.
Mm-hmm.
There are instances where I would have to say, we actually have said to our students, you really don't want to do that. They're just using you for your voice,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to be healthy for you vocally, that sort of thing. Like if it's a 6 shows a day cruise around Boston Harbor,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be leery of what that can do to you. But if it's a good play in a a good theater, I don't think it matters. I think
Yeah.
the more you can do, the better.
Right.
Especially in the summer when you begin to let the year's study of craft sort of take hold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if you're asking me, is it better to to carry a spear at Williamstown, or is it better to play Hamlet at Mount Holyoke Summer Theater? I don't know whether that exists. I'm making it up. I think there's both of them are of value. If you're ready to play Hamlet, you should play Hamlet. You can also learn tremendously if you're carrying a spear for a really great established actor playing Hamlet. I think you should try to do both of those throughout your summer experiences if you can.
Right. Matt? Oh, I've got him muted. Sorry. Hold on. That didn't help. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Thanks, Kristen.
Yeah.
So, what shows have you, or what are some of the shows that you've always wanted to act in or direct that you haven't really gotten a chance to yet?
Oh, that really is hard. I mean, I know, after all these years, I've done literally hundreds of them, and I don't. But I'm a tremendous fan of the early modern dramatists. I'm one of the few people around, probably, that one of my favorite playwrights is Henrik Ibsen, and I've done a lot of his work. I've never directed Hedda Gabler, and I would like to with the right people. It would be very exciting, for instance.
All right.
And there are a lot of Chekhovs I haven't done. I adore Chekhov. I'd love to do an Uncle Vanya. I'd love to do Misanthrope, Moliere's play. I've never done that. I've done lots of their other plays, but I suppose those are still there.
So mostly plays.
Those are plays, yeah.
Yeah,
In
mostly
the
plays.
musical world, I'd like to do something new. I don't know what, but I went today and saw This American Idiot because we had a former student that was in it. It's not the sort of thing that I would ever do, but I suddenly thought I need to do something that's newer musically.
Right.
I don't know what, but that would be fun.
James,
and then, of course, I love the classics.
Oh, good. James has a question for you. James?
Hi, Alan. What do you look for in a show that you direct? Like, how do you pick it out?
Well, so you see, if it's for the summer, the plays that I pick for either my summer operation or for the Hartt School, the main criteria is what's it going to do for the students or the actors. In the summer, I might know of some professionals that I'd like to see do something, but I'm always interested in what value is it going to bring to the students and to the young actors as they're training, or in the summer to the designers as well. It has to be, I think, good literature. And it has to have great quality in the writing.
Right.
And then challenges, I think. Like I was saying, the Agatha Christie, it seems simple, but it's actually, if you do it on the level for which she wrote it, it's quite challenging.
Right.
So I like to throw those challenges at young actors.
Okay.
Mostly things I select, and I select about 30 plays a year, are about what will it do for the artists.
Right.
Well, I think that more than I do about the public. That's actually.
Awesome.
I don't really think much about what's it going to do for the public, because if you do it well, then it's going to work for the public.
Brittany has a question for you. Brittany?
Yes. Hi, Alan. In your own opinion, what is the most important quality or lesson that you want students to take with them in the business world of theater from the Hartt School?
Well, I think it's important that they learn that, and that's what we work on, that the second part of show business, for sure, that it is a business. And I'm not just talking about financial, but that it's a business, and you're basically your own CEO. It's your company that you're trying to develop over the years, and so you have to look at it that way. You have to not just, excuse me, love the passion for it, but allow the passion to help you develop the skills, not just the craft as an actor, but the skill it takes to run a company, which is you, and everything that goes with that. the professionalism that's part of it. How do you become a professional company
Right.
and at the same time remain an artist?
Right.
I think that's the most important thing. Common sense, good manners,
Mm-hmm.
so important, so important.
Right.
I tell my students the most powerful tool that you have is a handwritten thank you note.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know how, if your parents didn't teach you how to write one, you better learn how to write one because it opens doors.
True. That's
Um,
true. All right. Jake has a question for you. Jake?
Hey, Alan.
right.
I just wanted to know what are some of your audition like pet peeves, like songs that you hate or things that people wear that you just can't stand? You
Or
know?
things
Well,
you
you
might
know, it
say.
goes in cycles, Jake. It's funny. There used to be a time where if anybody did the ring speech from 12th night, I just almost stopped them and said, please do something else. uh, I don't know. Bad things, what you don't want to see. Uh, Sometimes the songs are not appropriate, and that goes in cycles too.
Mm-hmm.
That thing from Jekyll and Hyde, and This Is the Moment. I remember that drove me up the wall for about 3 years. But if somebody's really good at it, you don't even pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
In all of the years I've been doing this, and I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of auditions, I've seen two kids do To Be or Not to Be from Hamlet, and they were both brilliant.
Hmm.
Huh.
I think people run away from that because they're afraid of it, and that's actually a beautiful piece and it takes care of itself. It's hard to say, and it
Mm-hmm.
really does go in cycles. We laugh about it sometimes.
You know,
What's this year going to be?
one of my friends who's a producer and director told me a story the other night because he started out as an actor like we all do, and they were actually auditioning for Oklahoma, right? And somebody, you can hear the other people outside the door, and they all heard him, and he started out, and he actually was going to sing Oklahoma, so he started out and he went Oklahoma, and they said thank you, and they cut him off and sent him out. I mean,
Well, that's just
it
being rude.
happens in our careers sometimes. It's kind of brutal.
Yeah, it is. I think that's. I said some funny things. The funniest thing for me was the girl that came in and said, "I'm going to sing These Are a Few of My Favorite Things by Julie Andrews." And I said, "No, you're not." And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Julie Andrews didn't write These Are a Few of My Favorite Things. Richard Rodgers did." And she looked at me and said, "Whatever."
Oh!
And then she did it. And then I said, "I have to apologize to you. I misled you. Richard Rodgers did not write These Are a Few of My Favorite Things. Oscar Hammerstein wrote that. Richard Rodgers wrote La 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 La." She looked at me and said, "Whatever."
I don't think you probably didn't catch
Wow.
it, did you?
You didn't cast her, did you?
I don't think so. Not for that reason, but
All right. So Shirley wants to know, when has an actor really wowed you at an audition, and why?
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I love actors. I just love actors. And it's just a week ago, well, 2 weeks ago, almost every day.
No.
Just some of them will just knock you out, and it's just you fall in love with them.
That's awesome.
It happens a lot.
Good. All right.
I actually have a question. A few minutes ago you were talking about how you choose shows to direct. Kind of in that same vein, how do you choose shows to audition for?
Well, it's been a long time since I've auditioned for anything. Usually at my age, there's not many of us left, so they come and ask you if you'll do it. Um, how do you say I'd like to be in that? If it's challenging, if you think it's appropriate to what you do. I was just asked to play the role of Charlie in The Death of a Salesman by someone, and I thought, I never thought of it before, and I read it with that in mind, and I thought, well, yeah, that would be great. That's good for me. Then there are times when you say, no, I couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want me to do that. That wouldn't be right.
All right. I see Sajane has her hand raised. Sajane, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Hi, Alan.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
Go ahead with your question.
I was going to ask, as a director, what advice would you give to actors that most actors would forget from your side of the business, being a director and an actor? Things you would tell us to always keep in mind when we're performing?
Oops, I think that's Matt.
Are we
Matt.
there?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is to be as honest as you can be with the choices that you make and what you choose to do. Uh, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the truth. Now, it isn't the truth. It's a perception of truth. But you have to believe in what you're doing as an actor, which is to play action. And I think that's the main thing. Honesty.
Yeah.
To thy known self be true. Isn't it Polonius that says that to his son as he sends him off? I think so.
Right.
Actually, I'm quite sure it is. And I think that's along with a lot of great advice from William Shakespeare, that's some of the best. It will serve you well always.
Awesome.
Especially on stage.
Right. All right. I have launched a poll that you all can see, and you can. I'm going to close that poll. Looks like everybody has voted on that. Oops, there's still people putting in their votes, and when you're finished there, I will. Good. I'll close this poll, and now I'm going to launch another one. Launch the poll. Okay. These are fun, the polls and surveys. At the end of the webinar, you'll be asked to fill out a survey, which just helps us make this Sunday Spotlight even better. And then you'll probably get a follow-up email. And if you didn't stay on the line and were able to fill out the survey, you can fill it out for there. Again, all of this just helps us make this even better. Next week's guest is Randy Kay. Some of you have met Randy, and certainly she's well known here in this area in Connecticut in Fairfield County. She's voiceover artist, radio host, an author. She's actor. She's a teacher. Really sharp lady. I've been able to watch her teach as well, and I think that she is just she's fabulous. And a great person as well. And then if you go to our www.np mptheater.org is our website, and you can view some of our really short videos. We've got a great guy on our board who's a producer who makes very short videos that explain really what the theater is about. But like our Facebook page, if you would, NPT Youth Presents Sunday Spotlight, because each week we will have, it's a different link that gets you into this webinar. So it's not the same one. This was just specific for Alan. And then I'll put on that page, the kids maintain it too, and we'll put the link for registering for Randy's. So you have to register, pre-register, and again, it's free. I'd love you to sign up for our blog that the teens, once a week, they post a review of something they've seen, say theater or movie or ballet or whatever. And then the second time that week, it will be announcing the guest again, and being able to um, sign up again for that. So those are links you want to kind of join. And it always helps us because, we're building our tribe. Now, finally, we're on a 30-day free trial for this go-to webinar, which I think is pretty cool. And it allows you, again, to see screen sharing. It's not just a conference call, and to meet Alan, basically. But we want to buy it for the entire year, which we're raising $2,000 for that. And every little tiny bit helps. So feel free to pass this on. If you thought this was a worthy adventure tonight and you learned a lot, again, we want to keep it free. So go to Rocket Hub. It's a lot like Kickstarter, but if you don't make the whole amount, you still get that, is what we understand, we hope. But it would really help. The teams are raising that. And, every $5, $10, there's all sorts of good prizes too. If you, there's a walk-on roll, if you fund a certain amount. And we really hope that you'll go to that tonight, go to Rocket Hub, and then put in the search bar Sunday Spotlight. And again, that would help us. So I want to thank you, Alan, so much for joining us tonight for our second only Sunday Spotlight. And from the results of the poll, everybody really seemed to enjoy it and get a lot out of it. Are there any final questions that anybody would like to ask, or I'll unmute Matt again because just a little bit of feedback there. Matt or Nathan, any other questions that you have? Any follow-ups?
I actually have one.
Go ahead.
I have one.
Go ahead, sure.
So, like, with the audition process for the Hartt school, which one would you either, like, pick? Someone that's a great dancer, but not as strong as a singer, or someone that is a strong singer, but not as good as a dancer?
That's a good question. We'll look at both of those, well, and acting as well. If somebody's really excels in dance because they've had a lot of experience at it and they don't seem quite up to the same level musically, first of all, we have to determine, do they have a voice that can be trained? Because if we don't think that we could train it, then it would be wrong of us to tell them we could by accepting them. So we'll take a great dancer and we'll work very hard on developing their skills as a singer, just as we'll take a great singer and work hard in developing their skills as an actor, and perhaps developing a certain amount of skill as a dancer. So we don't eliminate someone because they don't have all three things going.
That's good.
Okay.
It's our job to help them.
Great. That was a good follow-up. Good, Nate. And way to go, both Matt and Matt and Nate. I just said your names backwards.
Can I say one thing before this is over with?
Yes, absolutely.
I just don't know how much time you have left. I just want to say that if this is something that you really, really want to do, and are willing to give a good part of your life to it, not all of your life, but a good part of it, and you work really, really hard, there's a place for you in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
We spend a lot of our time with actors in this society of ours, and along with those actors, there are many other people that support that. And I think if you really want to do it, there's a place for you. It looks scary, but if you want to do it, you can do it.
Great. That's wonderful. That's a great ending. And we, again, we appreciate you taking your time on a Sunday evening to be our guest. And we will tune in again next Sunday. And you will get emails because we have your emails now, and you'll get an email reminder as well. But great if you just like our Facebook page, and that's so much easier for you. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And
thank you.
It means a lot, and it certainly helps you as well as us. So.
Great. Thanks, guys. All right.